there's kind of two elements to it. You can do an initial feasibility study for a site, which can be done desktop based. So, you know, Google Earth. What did we do before Google Earth? You know, we can have a good look at the site. We can see from Google Earth or other aerial mapping facilities that generally the types of habitats we're expecting to find on the site. So you could give a client a rough idea of what their baseline is going to be from that. And that's a really good, cost-effective initial way to look at a site. Because, as we always say, engagement at a really early stage on particularly biodiversity net gain is key. Personally, I really like to try and push clients to deliver their biodiversity net gain as much as possible within their red line. So as much as John explained, we can go off-site and we can buy credits. Any stakeholder, any local authority will be looking at a planning application and expecting a client to have really maxed out their site as much as possible. You know, going off-site is your kind of almost last resort. So they will be looking for us to follow not only
and that's in the hierarchy. So that's
it is, yeah.
Okay.
So alongside the metric, you have your biodiversity principles, and one of those key ones is the mitigation hierarchy.
Yeah.
So that initial one is avoidance. So, you know, you're looking to see what habitats you've got on site. If I've got a fantastic woodland, I'm going to, you know, I can see from aerial mapping, I've got a great woodland on here. I'm going to be saying to the client, you really can't be building in there. If you are, we've got some serious work to do. Avoidance, and then minimising the loss. So, okay, you are going to build in the woodland. How much can we reduce? Can we make sure that it's the poorer parts of the woodland, perhaps the bit that's just a bit of sort of scruffy edge that actually isn't the really high quality woodland in the centre. And then after that, then you've got your mitigation compensation. So actually, okay, we can't avoid that. How are we going to mitigate? We're going to have to create some more woodland elsewhere. Can we do some planting, ideally in advance on the site elsewhere? So yeah, desktop initially, and then you would go to site and actually look at the woodland or grassland or whatever habitat's there and go, okay, yeah, brilliant, aerial maps was correct, and I have interpreted it correctly, it is this, but what condition is it? And in the metric, which is in effect a glorified Excel spreadsheet, a very big one, there are a few strands to it. So the initial point is your habitat. You identify your habitat type. So grassland, but what type of grassland is it? You know, what indicator species in there? So you need your botany in there. You need to make sure you've got an idea of what plant communities are there in order to correctly determine the habitat. And then on top of that, you then have the condition. So we have a set of condition criteria that we have to then go, okay, is it heavily grazed? Is it, you know, do we have a lot of scrub encroachment? Are there sort of, as they call them, pernicious or undesirable species? So a lot of thistle or ragwort or things like that in there that are actually bringing down the quality of the grassland. Yeah. And as you can imagine, a really well-managed grassland that's species rich is going to score incredibly high on the metric, whereas a heavily grazed, very heavily fertilised kind of pasture grassland will score very low. So that can massively affect your baseline. So you're right, you've got your desktop, you could say, oh, it's grassland, but then the detail really does make a difference to your baseline.